Today we're going to continue my look at board game breakdowns and the components that come with them by looking at the newly released Constantinopolis by FFG Games. Constantinopolis was released at Gen Con 2010, and so let's take a look at what comes inside the box, and then we will break it all down, set up a two-player game, and give you a quick overview of how the game plays. So inside the box you have 5 character sheets. The character sheets are broken up into different regions. If we pull one of these down and take a look at it, the region here with the 15 boxes are for the buildings that you build. Up here are the shipping lanes. The first shipping lane takes 1 turn to get to the harbor, and the second shipping lane takes 2 turns. Now, there are some victory points that are earned within those depending on the type of building that you use. On the right-hand side up here are the trading posts. Each turn you're allowed to buy 1 trading post. Trading posts allow you to draw additional contract cards and also allow you to save cards from one turn into the next, which is a very helpful option. We have a space for your money and a space for any extra goods you may have at the end of the turn. Game comes with a very nice looking board. The board has a fame track around it, which is pretty much the victory points that are used. In the upper left-hand corner of the board, it gives you a turn-by-turn breakdown. The game takes place over 9 rounds. Within each of those 9 rounds, there are 8 individual turns that take place between all the players. The good thing about Constantinopolis that I really like is that the majority of these turns that you see here, minus 1 or 2 of them, is allowed to be taken at by every single player simultaneously, so there's no waiting between turns. The board is broken into several different regions, which are all color coordinated with red, yellow, green, purple, and then gray at the bottom. Each area signifies a different part of Constantinopolis, such as red being production, gray being walls, and yellow being commercial. In the center of the board you have the market spaces. The one on the bottom is the current market space, and the one on the top is the future market space. So you can kind of plan out your future turn or your next round's turn. These are the shipping cards. The ships come in 3 different ranges. They come in small, medium, and large ships. The difference between them, of course, is the costs on how much you'd be spending to buy them, but they also carry a specific number of cargo. For instance, this can carry up to 2 cargo. This one can carry up to 4, one of those of which can be a person, and the bottom one can carry up to 8, 3 of which can be a person. On the bottom left-hand side is your turn marker. Since the game is 2 to 5 players, there's 5 different spaces that can be occupied in every turn. Each one of them is bid on at the beginning of the turn, which has a little bit of an auction to it, but those that are afraid of auction games really shouldn't be that worried about it because they all give you a really nice benefit. None of them are any worse than the others. Each of them gives you individual abilities as well. Right here is the wall scoring track. Now, walls give you their own unique abilities when you purchase them, but they also give you bonus points at the end of the game. For instance, if you have 1 wall, you get 1 fame point at the end of the game. If you have 5, you get 12. And the last spot is your production buildings. The more production buildings you get in the game, the more contract cards you get. For instance, if you have 3 production buildings, you get 2 contract cards during that turn. The more contract cards you get, the greater the possibility of products that you produce can be shipped. So again, that's a very important aspect of the game. These are the markets. There are 5 total, and as I showed you before, they start up in the market area. And they're also used for the game ending conditions. Every turn, at the end of every turn, the future market goes into the current market. When it gets done, when all 5 cards have been laid here, they get reshuffled and put back here, and then you'll do it 4 more times for a total of 9 rounds. So the game can either win by all of the market cards going through twice or building all of the purple buildings. These are the building tiles. And in a 2-player game, you just play with 1 of each kind on their respective areas. So you'd only play with, for instance, 1 Redemptor. In 2-player or 3 and 4 player games, you play with 2 of each, and then in a full 5 player game, you play with all the tiles. That limits the possibilities of what you can purchase. So in a 2 player game, if someone buys a building that you want, you're pretty much stuck without it for the rest of the game. These are the contract cards. Contract cards come in a couple different forms. They come in resources, and they also come in people. You can ship both resources that you produce and people. People you can only ship, as I showed you earlier, on the medium and the large ships. So you're going to have to purchase those before you can take up a contract that allows you to ship people. The game also comes with several coins, and I've only laid out a couple of them, but they come in denominations of 1, 2, 5, 10, and 30. And I put this in a Plano box, but it does not come with one. These are all the player markers. The player markers come with one that looks like a person, right there, and then it comes with 4 of the trader huts, or trader posts, and then 2 of the circular markers, which one will act on the fame track and the other one will act on your production track. Comes with a very nice written rule book, full color. Now, there have been some complaints about FFG's rules lately, but this game is really, really well done. The rules are very easy to understand and really well written, and they've done a really good job lately of making sure that there are plenty of examples for gameplay throughout the game. And I had no problems with reading through this and playing through it on my first try. And then you have all of the different cubes for the different things you can produce. Now, each of these has a different they each mean different things. For instance, I believe the yellow means luxury. And they all mean different things, but in gameplay terms, you really don't need to know what they stand for. You just need to know if you can produce those items or not. And again, that's what comes inside the box. Now I'm going to show you what the game will look like when it's actually set up. And this is what Constantinopolis looks like fully set up for a 2-player game. I've picked blue and yellow to represent the characters that we're going to be showing you. At the very beginning of the game, 1 blue and 1 yellow token is placed on the red production building, meaning that each player starts off with 1 red production. If you remember back on their player sheets, it shows that 1 building is already produced, and that's called the auger, and it produces 2 green buildings. So basically that is a red building, one of the production buildings. So to indicate that, again, each person has 1 red building starting off, meaning that during the contract phase, each player will draw 1 contract card to see if they can ship goods or not. Their tokens are randomly placed on the turn chart. Blue took the first spot and yellow took the second spot. The first spot simply means that they're allowed to draw 3 extra contract cards during their turn, upping the ability for them to be able to ship goods. And the yellow one's on the +1 production spot. That means that that player can produce 1 free good of a color that they can already produce. Since both players are already starting with green, that player can produce 3 green goods instead of just 2. We've also placed 2 of the markers on the 0 track, that is the fame track. Each player places their 4 trading posts in the upper right hand corner, and each player also starts with $30 or 30 gold. To give you a brief breakdown of what the game looks like, the very first turn, as I showed, is the auction, and people auction off what turn they're going to be taking. That's simply done by bidding with coins. The second phase, which doesn't happen in the very first turn of the game, is the shipping of goods. Since no one's drawn any contract cards or has the ability to ship anything on the first turn, no one can. I forgot to mention that each player also starts with 1 small ship in their fleet. And that's a free ship that they don't have to buy. So they'll already start with that ship and be able to ship goods on their second turn. The third phase is the production phase, and everybody produces from their red buildings one of the 5 different colors. If we go over here to the red buildings, you notice that each of them have different colors in the bottom right. Those are what they produce at the beginning of each turn. They also have numbers, or letters, in the upper right hand corner. Those represent how high they are on the hierarchy of buildings to be able to purchase. Since the auger, the starting building that's already pre-printed, is an A, on your turn you can buy either another A building or a B building, but you cannot buy a C building. And again, you have to keep moving your way down all the way to the D buildings to buy some of the more expensive goods that are available. If there's ever a time that all the A's are missing from, or all the B's are missing from a game and all you have is an A, you're allowed to automatically build a C. After everyone's produced all the goods on their sheet, then they will have a step number 4. This is one of the only ones where it has to be taken in player order. You're allowed to buy one building of each different color, so you can buy a red building, a yellow building, and a purple building, and so forth. You're also allowed to buy and sell goods at the market. Looking at the market, we'll look at the current market. The market cards are broken down into 3 different columns, plus a column over here on the right hand side. The first are what goods are available during that turn. For instance, you can only buy or sell 1 blue for that turn. Red you can do 2. The left hand number is how much it costs to buy that, and on the right is how much you make from selling that good that you own. To be noted, you can only buy goods that you can actually, you cannot buy goods that you can actually produce. You can only buy goods that you do not produce. So again, going back to the turn order, you can buy and sell goods at the market, and you can also use your yellow buildings. Yellow buildings look like this, and there's only 6 of them in the game. And they have cubes on them as well. And basically what happens is you can move cubes from your red buildings to your yellow buildings and get that much coin or fame, or both. So for instance, on the Kapana right here, it costs 9 to actually buy the building, but when you use it during the 4th phase of the game, you can put 2 green cubes on it and get 4 gold and 1 fame point immediately. And those are called commercial buildings. The next step is the contract step, and you draw contract cards. You draw contract cards depending on how many of the red production buildings you have. So at the beginning of the game, going back, each person has 1 contract card. Now, if you buy a trading post, as I had mentioned earlier, for every trading post that you own, you simply buy it for how much it costs and put it off to the side, and that allows you to draw 1 extra contract card for every one that you own. Those also allow you to keep contracts that you aren't allowed to use that turn, or don't have the means to be able to ship them that turn. On the 6th phase, again, it's one of those phases that everyone can do at the same time. You accept contracts. You can go back to the market if you so wish. You can again use your commercial buildings if you have not already used it that turn. This is also when you can buy a trading post and buy a new ship. You can only buy 1 trading post and buy 1 ship per turn. The 7th phase is donations. Looking back at the market, it has a column on the right hand side showing the donations. For instance, you can turn in 3 cubes for 2, 3 blue for 2, or 3 yellow for 4 fame. To note, none of your production, if you don't sell it at the market and you don't ship it that turn and you don't donate it, all of it gets erased. And on your board, you only have 1 storage. So you can only carry over 1 of your production from 1 turn into the next. So it's always a good idea to either donate it, sell it to the market, or ship the goods that you make. And the last turn is trading out the trading post, and as I mentioned, going down to 1 cube. The trading post, simply, you take the future market and put it over top the current market. That's how the game works. I'm not going to get too much into the contract cards. It's really not that hard. Again, to show you what they do, if you have a green and a blue, you're allowed to ship it. There's 3 different sizes of boats on there. For instance, you can ship it on the small boat, and it would only take 1 turn to be able to ship it. When it's shipped, you get 6 coins and 1 fame for doing it. Obviously, the contract cards are all different with different kinds of cubes, and sometimes you're not going to be able to get any contracts that you can actually ship. Hence why trading posts are so important. If you know it's something you can produce on the next turn, and maybe you already sold it to the market or needed it to produce in your commercial buildings, it's a good idea to buy trading posts to be able to save those for the next turn. The game is really good, actually. I didn't think I was going to like it, and it wasn't one of those games that was really hyped at Gen Con. I've played it I think 6 times now, if I'm right, and I've played it with as few as 2 players and as many as 4. I have not played a 5-player game, and I've liked it every single time. It's really, really easy to learn. It's simple for people that aren't really into economic-style games, because the rules are very easy to understand. A lot of it happens at the same time. There's not a lot of hiding stuff from each other, so you can actually help out people that are new to the game. And I would really suggest it if you like this or Puerto Rico or any of those style games. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you like this.